So, welcome everyone to this free connection call for the Peace course, Peace, Empowerment and Cultural Emergence. So, I'm Looby Macnamara and I'll be hosting today with Leona. Welcome, Leona.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to see your faces, and yeah, really good to be here. I'm one of the facilitators for this year's online peace course, and one of the facilitators for the deep immersion in person peace course that we do every year. And yeah, it's really lovely. I'm feeling super grateful today for the blue sky and the sunshine. I love your backdrop there, Luby. You look like you're sort of emerging out of the jungle. And yeah, feeling after lots of rain. I live in the north of England, and we've had a very wet couple of weeks, almost flood warnings in the river that goes through the valley. So yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of sunshine and be able to get out into the trees this morning and feel that sense of autumn that there is here. I know it's very different in the southern hemisphere at this time of year, but yeah, so lovely to be with you all this morning.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you'd like to put in the chat where you're calling in from and something you're feeling grateful for. Yeah, I'm really grateful for the sunshine today, not only because it's lifting my spirits but it's also drying things out that are outside, and we're just about to start our apple picking of the year. So it's nice to have some dry weather for that. And we'll also, yeah, need to get get the marquee in to kind of say goodbye to this year's in-person season at Applewood and pack it away for the winter. So we needed a window of dry weather to do that in. So I'm really grateful for that. And sorry, I'm really grateful for global connections as well. I think there's a time for me of transitioning from in person and being very local here at Applewood to being more online and more global, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, we've got people here from Sweden and Scotland. Seems like the sun shines in both of those places as well. Norway. Yeah, so we've got people from different places, from Australia, Lutarita. Hopefully, I've pronounced that now. It's Tasmania in Australia. So yeah, great to have this global global community. And there were other people on the call last night, and we're trying out on the course doing these two calls so that they cater for different time zones, and we really extend our global reach with cultural emergence. So yeah, thank you for joining, and thank you everyone that's listening, listening to the recording. Really appreciate people taking the time for this. So, peace, the peace course. The peace stands for Peace, Empowerment and Cultural Emergence. And that's what we'll be doing on the course. And I'll share with you our course vision. The course vision is to create a peaceful culture in our lives, to learn, experience, and embody the nourish and empower phase, practices, and principles of cultural emergence, to nourish and empower ourselves, to support our journey as change makers, and enable deep connection to ourselves, each other, and the land, to bring us into a state of fertile cultural emergence. So let's just take a moment to let that land with us and see how that feels. What does it bring up for us? What longing does it connect with in us? Leona, do you have some reflections on that course vision? Oh, you're muted.
There
Can I
we
say
go.
that?
Sorry. Yes, I really love the reference uh, to our journey as change makers, because I know we don't all see ourselves as change makers, but actually, um, we the ones who are actually responding to our own curiosity when we hear things like cultural emergence and peace and the opportunity to gather with people around the world to talk with these. We're the ones that are creating that sense of change within our own lives, which then impacts those that we live with, and then it impacts our communities. And I think now more than ever, we really need this sense of uh, internal peace leading to external peace, because if we turn on the news, we look at the newspapers, we can't really miss the troubles that are going on around the world. And I love the vision of the peace course, to be able to bring us consciously into a vision of peaceful culture. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
And Anika, were you going to share a reflection then? We'd love to hear.
Y- Yeah, I kind of long for this more sense of peace, because there's so many things I try to do, which I'm grateful for. I have the opportunity to work as an art teacher with a project where I teach marine biology pupils to look more closely through art at objects and show this to the public. And I work for a local forest, protection of a local forest where I live. But I just really feel that I need to have more peace in my life and more structures to find this peace, so that I have the energy to go on to do the work I want to do. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's really um, shares a bit about the cultural emergence phases. So there's three phases of cultural emergence. One is challenge and awaken. Let me get my cards actually. One is move and invigorate, and one is nourish and empower. And they relate to each other. So here we have the three phases here. And if you do too much of the, oh no, that's the wrong, sorry. Here it is. If you do too much of the move and invigorate, it can lead to burnout. But if you add, and then too much of the challenge and awaken leads to overwhelm. But when you bring in more nourish and empower, then you have more capacity for the other phases of the move and invigorate and the challenge and awaken. So it really supports us to be that change makers, to be active in our life as well. But without it, we end up just depleted and then not able to do what we're called to do in the world.
I'm just going to leave for a moment to let out my cat. I
Yes.
come back.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Yeah, so what does peace mean to you? Shall we put in the chat? What does peace mean to you? Because it's one of those words that we maybe hear a lot, but really exploring what it means to us personally is part of the journey to write that. So we were just hearing in the chat, if you'd like to put what peace means to you. And let's hear some reflections on that word and see then that leads us, it gives us clues almost as to what do we need to do in order to bring it in, if we're able to connect with that feeling, connect with what it is that we're searching for, then it helps us to navigate our ways there. So for me, peace starts. Well, peace is this balance between body and mind, and it's a very much a feeling. So we have some reflections here. It's quiet, calm, compassion, and kindness to and for all. Deep connection to self, each other, and our environment.
Yeah, for me, it's if we think about ourselves the human animals that we have the capacity to be, that we are. And actually, you know, in times gone by, we would have been responsive to what was around. We would have been in tune with our nervous system. We would have been able to be aligned in heart and mind and body and spirit. And I think that the way we live today knocks that out of balance. So for me, it's that sense of, you know, when you have that real sense of alignment and everything is as it should be, you know, you're aware of the interconnectedness that you have with everything, with everything, and that is a state that then enables you to be able to tune in and make decisions and take action from a place of grounded, deep alignment and connection. And I love that it's something that, you know, that we can choose when we have the skills and we have the understanding about what's going on in our system. We can choose that state of peace and bring it wherever we are, and that it creates ripples, that it has an effect. It is something that we can be connected with no matter what's going on around us, if we have that learning and that understanding. But also that in itself creates a sense of peacefulness around us, and then we're in this beautiful reciprocity, the reciprocal cycle that supports us. Yeah, I love that.
In the
Anna's
chat.
written,
Yeah.
Calm mind, still body, aware and connected to the natural world around me and the wider world in a gentle way. And Nika's written, it's a feeling. Yeah. One thing that's useful to think about whenever we are considering peace, and some people have named it, is that interconnectedness with nature. And what can that actually have to do with peace? What does nature have to do with peace? I think actually it comes back to the idea that we as animals have the potential and the capacity to feel more open, have a real deep sensory awareness that goes beyond the five senses. And when we're in nature, we're able to experience so much. You know, if you imagine what's going on, or if you're just sat in the wood in stillness, all the millions of actions that are happening around us, we can handle all of that. We have the capacity to be aware of all of that, to tune in, to really listen to things that are close and things that are far, things that smell, you know, and the smell is really evocative of the natural world, and even taste, as well as the sights and the sounds of what's going on, and how it feels to be there. And that is where our bodies very naturally come into a state of peace, if we allow it. And being in that sort of there's a part of us, I think, that knows it deep down. You know, we're hardwired for connection, and so when we're in nature and we have us, you know, we're in a safe space, but our senses are able to open, we can access a whole lot more than what we do whenever we're in our concrete houses. Maybe you're so lucky that you don't live in a concrete house, but but something very different, isn't there, whenever we're outside?
Yes, definitely. And nature connection is a big part of the Cultural Emergence toolkit and what we'll be really focusing on. And I know some of you already are on your Cultural Emergence journey, but for those of you that maybe have just stumbled across Cultural Emergence thinking, well, what is it? Where did it come from? Just to take you back to where it came from. So my work started with people with permaculture, and then I really started to specialize in people and permaculture, and wrote the book People and Permaculture over a decade ago now, because I really felt like permaculture had much more to offer than just for land-based designing, and that sparked a lot of tools, the design web, and it sort of helped catalyze the social permaculture movement. And then in 2015, as a mutual friend of mine and John Young's connected us both, because she felt like my work would be beneficial with the design web would be beneficial to John, and that his work with Deep Nature Connection would be beneficial for me and the people that I'm working with and connected with. And so we came together and we said, okay, well, let's do a course, and let's see, we'll call it Emergence, because something will happen through our collaboration. And then we were like, well, actually, this overlap is where it's about culture, with permanent culture, and with cultural repair that John was doing. And then we also said, well, actually, let's, instead of just doing like what we normally do and just kind of tag teaming in that way, let's move to the space beyond that. Let's see what is there that could come out of this emergence, like this new entity. And that was when the Cultural Emergence toolkit started evolving, and over many years, then we co-created and harvested a lot of collective wisdom from the courses, and put together the Cultural Emergence toolkit. Well, I wrote the book with a lot of generous input from John, and it covers a lot of John's work in there as well. And it's quite a lot in the toolkit. So what we also looked at how we could do some learning pathways, so that people would kind of come and learn some things, being able to integrate it into their lives, and then come and learn more and integrate that. So I'll show you a mandala that I did, which shows the learning, shows these different learning modules. So we have the ACE course, which I've just talked about the phases, focuses on the challenge and awaken phase and our awareness of culture. And we have the design adventure, which is the move and invigorate phase. This used to be called the seed course. It's design adventure now. And then we have the peace course, which is the peace, empowerment and cultural emergence course, which is the nourish and empower phase, which is very much about connection to ourselves, to each other, and to the more than human world. And this really draws a lot upon John's lifetime of work with Deep Nature Connection, which Leona and I have also been on that journey of Deep Nature Connection. And I'll and so we'll be the three of us will be collaborating on the course, and Leona and I will be running this Thursday morning in the UK slot, and John and I will be doing the Wednesday morning. But you'll have access to both the recordings and can swap between them if you choose to. So yes, we've created this toolkit, and now it's like time that we want people to use it and to connect with other people that are using it. And it's been a global journey, as a movement, a global movement of change makers that are coming together to really support each other. I was wondering, Leona, if it might be a great moment to, talking of being global, if you'd like to share a bit, because Leona's been on the online courses, you've done the ACE course. You did the SEED course as well, didn't you? The Design Adventure. So this is you're getting the third piece here. You're going to join us for this online course. But yeah, I'd love to hear just, a little story about how Cultural Emergence has been supporting you in your life?
Well, thank you, and hello everyone. um, I guess in a way it started a long time ago for me. So I'm trained as an anthropologist, so culture has always been very significant in my life. But I spent 20 years homeschooling my children. We're a remote area to university level, and but at the same time was watching the world, watching what was going on, feeling really, really concerned, and feeling the culture was central to the changes that we needed to make. It wasn't just about moving, from a fossil fuel way of being to a carbon-free, renewable energy way. It was much more than that. There was underlying beliefs and ways of being and values and things that I felt like we needed to change. So I've had my head in the cultural emergence space for quite a long time, and have been running some sociocultural transformation discussions at a little sustainability centre about an hour and a half from us, which has been really amazing. And all the while I've kind of been looking out in the world, seeing just trying to find what it is I could really step back into the world with. And I tripped across people in permaculture a while ago, and then found these courses and went, oh, wow. Cultural emergence. That's it. I would like to be a cultural emergence facilitator. So this is the final module, I guess, before being able to enter the facilitators program. I'm not sure how that's going to look for me just yet, but and I have a buddy here in Tasmania who's not with us. She did the peace course in person a couple of months ago. She's equally as passionate and crazy about this as I am. And we have our very, very first presentation coming up of the design web at a permaculture Skillshare next week. So we've been preparing for that. So it feels like finally we're taking that tiny little step out into the world and bringing cultural emergence to Lutruwita. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I love that you have got someone there who you're connecting with, and I think this is one of the powers of the online courses, is that we get to, at the same time as connecting with this global audience, as well be in our homes and in our communities, and sharing stories with the people that are around us, with our family, our friends, and just interacting differently with people in situ. So it's like we learn something, and then we're immediately able to put it into our own home lives, whether that's changing a personal habit, or changing how we interact with people in the home or on the street, or how we interact and we connect with the land and bring the nature connection practices into our own lives. So yeah, while many people sort of go, well, hold on, how can you do connection and nature connection online? How does that work? And actually, what it has this amazing power by being online, because it's like we're growing something in our own lives, rather than like going somewhere and learning something and then having to transplant it back into our lives. It's like, okay, we're here, and we can immediately start making changes and reflecting and taking things at our own pace as well, and doing that reflection at home. So yeah, Leona, do you want to say anything else about like the power of online connection and learning?
Yeah, I guess yeah, for me, I feel like, the deep immersive experiences that we can have are really amazing opportunities to come into a way of being that isn't how it is in the everyday. But what is really important and really empowering is having the opportunity to be motivated, inspired, and connected whilst in your own home, so that in our everyday we start to be the change that we want to see. We're not just going away and being with a whole group of amazing people that we think are so different to everyone else in the world, when actually, you know, everyone has the potential and capacity to be more at peace and more in connection. And when we've got the tools and the ways of you know, the structure of a program such as this, where we you know, we can make that conscious choice that for this period of time we're stepping over the threshold into a way of exploring ourselves more deeply, but at home. It's very powerful. And I think, you know, sometimes immersive in-person experiences, as great as they are, can also bring a grief. They can bring a sense of a sadness when we go home, that what we've experienced isn't real, you know, isn't the way it really is. Where actually, what we're aiming to do through this program is to bring this into reality, so that we can actually, we have the vision for a world where people are more connected and healthy and have the tools to be self-actualized and self-aware, and piece by piece by piece, through this multi-layered model that cultural emergence brings us, and through the experience of relearning and relearning and relearning, because we are the great forgetters. My teacher says that the human is the great forgetter. You know, we have all of this within us, but we have spent so much time it, working towards a certain dynamic of progress that we've forgotten what it is to be fully alive with all of the attributes of connection. So I'm hoping, and I've certainly witnessed it over and again, that when people come to this program, they get that experience, and together we grow as a group. And I'm very excited about it. You know, my journey with cultural emergence and before into this world of deep connection practice has been long. And I feel like I've done so many courses and trainings, and yet I don't believe that we can ever get there. I'm using sorry about these things I keep using today, but I don't believe we actually ever get there. You know, it's a practice, it's a way of being. And actually, in order to stay in that deeply connected place that has that felt and embodied awareness of the interconnectedness that we have, it's a relationship. It's something we need to tend repeatedly. And there are ways that maybe we do that anyway, but whenever we are working with the tools of the 8 shields, the tools of deep nature connection, the tools of the core routines of and the principles and practices of cultural emergence, these are time-tested tools, time-tested. It's like a recipe. And if there's a recipe that we know works to bring people into a state of connection, then it's worth learning, and it's worth coming back to. So yeah, I'm really excited about this for myself, because I know that every time I go back into an intentional and committed process to remember each part of the process, I come more into a deep relationship, an empowering relationship with myself and the person that I want to be in the world.
Thank you, Leona. I'm just going to read out Christy's comment here. I echo what Leona is sharing. Cultural emergence is the thing that has helped me to help to tie together all the areas of my work and some of the deeper understanding behind why it's important. I've just finished ACE and I'm so looking forward to peace. Very grateful for being able to be here this morning and keep being inspired. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here as well. Yes, yes, I think this is part of the magic of the online courses as well, is that we create this field of encouragement between us. So we've got these sort of three layers of connection going on. That we've got the connection to ourselves. So you'll have some videos and activities to go out and to do on the landscape and in your own home and in your lives, and reflect upon what's happening. So as Leona said, to really embed it into our everyday being, and then we'll also have the live calls where we'll also get to interact with each other in breakout rooms if you wish. There's also an opt out of the breakout rooms if you don't want to be there. And we'll have an online community space as well where you can share stories. And then we'll have some longer, like podcast style story conversations between the three of us, or two of us at some points. And I know that those are really popular, and you can listen to them as you drive or as you clean the house, do the washing up or whatever. So I know that those longer conversations are really popular with people. I really enjoy them, because also we don't actually know when we start talking what we're going to say, and things emerge in the conversation that maybe we haven't realised before, because as Leona said, it's an ongoing journey. There's no destination, and John was saying this last night as well, that after 40 years of deep nature connection and specializing in that and mentoring thousands of people, he still has things to learn. It still deepens. It's a bottomless pit of I don't know, that sounds, bottomless pit maybe doesn't sound as romantic, but it's a never-ending mystery, and treasures to unfold maybe sounds more exciting. Yeah, so so that's a bit about sort of how we will learn. I would just to kind of come back into what we will learn then, because that's obviously important. So there's three strands of what we will learn. One is the core routines of nature connection. One is the 8 Shields model, and the third is the cultural emergence practices and principles. And what I love is that by bringing those three things together, there's emergence that happens, that there are new insights that will come out, that we, even John, who created the 8 Shields model, he, new layers of understanding and nuance will come out of bringing together the cultural emergence practices and principles in there. Leona, do you want to share about the core routines of nature connection?
Yeah, sure. One of the poems that I think always reminds me of the core routines of nature connection is The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. And I always feel like with this poem and with my deepening relationship with nature connection, that it is that sense of interconnectedness and freedom that's really powerful. If we can remember when, the time before the age of technology, and an industry when our ancestors lived in tune with the cycles. We had to be aware of when food grows and when we needed to chop wood, and where people and things would be at different times of the year. And we're really not anymore. We don't have to be, because we can switch a switch and the light comes on, and we can turn the tap on, and the water's hot. And we don't really know what tracks we're seeing when we're out in the woods or the fields these days, because we're not passed down that information from our elders generally, unless we're very lucky or we've sought it. And yet the awareness of that information was always learnt through the doing. It was only learnt through the doing. There was never, in the very beginning for our ancestors, books and courses. It was always learnt through the doing and the sharing. And so the core routines are a way of giving us they've been chosen. There's 13 core routines, and they've been chosen and synthesized from various people who've considered what are the things that bring us into a state of deep connection. And they're very simple. And sometimes we can overthink what it is that we need to do, and that we need to read a lot and we need to understand a lot. But actually, it's the doing that is going to be the key to us feeling that sense of deep interconnected belonging. When I was a long time ago, I was a social worker, and I worked with people in the cities. And what I noticed all around was that good people were struggling terribly because they were desperate for a sense of connection, and they didn't have those tools. They didn't have a sense of connection definitely didn't have a sense of connection to nature and the place in the natural world, but they didn't have the tools to be connected to each other, and most importantly, maybe themselves, like really to be able to have the space and time to think and feel and process what their experience is, so that they can recognize themselves and take action from that place of awareness and knowing. And I trained firstly as a forest school leader, and then in eco-psychology, and then in ceremony, and then in coaching. There's been this long journey of exploration of what is it that creates the optimum conditions for connection. And the core routines, which were introduced to me a long time ago, started to infiltrate my life in a way that was subtle, and I didn't really realize the impact of what was going to happen. And the act of simply having a sit spot and hearing the term, the non-human others, or the other than human beings, and actually perceiving that when I'm outside without other humans, I'm not alone, and I'm never alone, in fact, was so huge, was so powerful for me. And it actually now, more than anything else, helps me to feel supported, whatever's going on. But I could speak that. I could probably have told you that before I felt it, but it's the actual real feeling of it that comes through regular, intentional, connected, full sensory opening and sitting, doing the doing, and actually being in nature and taking the opportunity to explore then bird language, knowing that there is a bird language even, and that the birds will indicate what's going on in the wood if we actually understood. Don't have to know every bird song, but we can actually understand that a certain call means a certain thing, and we can look out for if there's another predator. But that goes on in the human culture too. And when we understand bird language, we can understand that amongst the humans that we interact with. And having a sense of the area that we live through timeless wandering and mapping, so that we have a kind of mental and physical map of the natural spaces where we can map. It strengthens that spatial awareness and gives us a different relationship to where we are. And all of that and more is part of some of the things that we're going to be inviting you to explore throughout the program. It's not that you have to spend lots of time doing these things. It's about having the awareness that they're available to us, and then little and often choosing to bring them into our everyday, so that we start to change the nature of being, because we are human beings after all, not human doings. And I think that having this opportunity to play and explore this is it can be a deeply profound and moving journey.
That's beautiful, Leona. That's certainly whet my appetite for more. And just, yeah, it's kind of like this, such a poetic way you've been describing them, and it's that, and it's also very pragmatic as well. So there's we will be taking you through things step by step and giving you little activities, as you say, these little and often things that we can do to then reach the poetic standards of your journey there and your reflections. So that's one of the threads we will be exploring. Then the other thread will be the Eight Shields model, which this is the Eight Shields family from the seed deck. So the Cultural Emergence toolkit I've put into a set of 96 cards, which has 6 families in there, and we'll be underpinning the whole journey with the cards, and particularly then going into exploring the Eight Shields family, which is what a model that John created that takes us through the times of the day. So we go from sunrise to early morning, midday, early afternoon, sunset, twilight, midnight, and pre-dawn. And each of these times of day has an attribute of connection and some sort of feelings and archetypes behind it, and natural patterns, and we can use them personally or also in groups. So in the so the pattern of the day is also mirrored in the pattern of the year. So at this time in the northern hemisphere, we are at sunset. So this is the time of reflecting and harvesting learnings, the time of the autumn and autumn equinox, and it's time for like sitting around the fire and telling stories. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the time of sunrise, and it's belonging and acceptance and new beginnings. So we'll be using this model within the journey itself to support us to come into this field of connection and encouragement, as well as exploring how we can then use it in our own lives and in our groups. So that's another layer of the learning. Do you have a reflection about the Eight Shields you'd like to share, Leona, before we move on to the Cultural Emergence principles?
Yeah, I guess I think having an awareness of the Eight Shields is a really powerful and beautiful way of looking at the world, and it's a journey. So it's an introduction to it, or a deepening, depending on where you are on your journey. But to know that the understanding of the Eight Shields, which comes from nature and is part of the natural cycle, so it's something that we can all relate to, can also be applied to how we live, how we design events, how we design our day, how we design our and hold our business is a really powerful extra layer in how we create more richness in our life. And I, briefly, it's the story of when I came into start working with the Eight Shields was very powerful because I hadn't done any training or reading or anything on it. It was just introduced to us by a friend of mine when we started our nature connection business, and she was determined we were going to use this model, which I didn't really know, didn't really understand. And I was like, can't we just do it, the way we always do it? And she was like, no, we really need to do this. And so we each held a direction. There's eight directions called the Eight Shields. So, and each one has an attribute, an energy. And in this event, we each took on an energy, one of the attributes, and held the space in relation to that. And each of the attributes have roles associated with them. And because of that, it made it very clear about who was doing what. And the people who came to this event, just a short Skillshare event for outdoor leaders, but people from, head teachers from different schools and people in different multi-agency professions. And it was an amazing, it would have been an amazing gathering, but something happened. And by the end of it, everyone was just like, what have you done here? Why? It just feels like a normal, a normal, event, but half people had experienced tears at some point because they'd felt free enough to be able to express how moved they felt at some of the activities, and it was moving and profound, and it felt very healthy and whole, and I think that's why it gives us the opportunity to create wholeness in a way that some sort of magic can happen. And so I love working with the Eight Shields, and my business and life and all the courses and events that I do have been underpinned by the Eight Shields for the last decade. But so it's great to be sharing some of it as part of the Peace course. And I think that wherever you are on your journey with it, it always brings more.
Mm. Yeah, thank you, Leona. So then the third strand is the cultural emergence practices and principles, and how they support us as a group and support us to find new layers of meaning as well in relationship with the connection practices, and then in relation with the Eight Shields. So I've just picked out three sort of semi at random, but not yeah. And I just thought, actually, like, let's see how these go. So this one is give encouragement. Your presence is a present. Build trusting relationships. Connect people with their own heart. And then another one I picked out was this one, which was wise wording. Language reveals underlying beliefs, assumptions, oppression, and privilege. Be careful with the words you use. Gently challenge others to use words wisely and speak from a place of centeredness. And then I thought, well, and then I thought, let's see what happens if I pick out one of the Eight Shields ones with them. So I then picked out at random the sunset, which is the time of year we're in now. And this is truly helpful. This is about storytelling. So recalibrate personal and cultural narratives and experiences. Identify characters and themes in your design. Who can you share stories of nature connection with? Reflect and harvest learnings. And I just thought how beautiful those three go together, that they together add more layers of meaning. So how can we actually give encouragement with our wise wording and with our storytelling, and how can we draw stories out from each other and support each other in that process and encourage each other through our wise wording. So yeah, that's an example of how they can weave together to bring new layers of understanding and insights. Leona, do you have a card or two you'd like to share?
I think I was going to share because as well as the principles that underpin everything, there's the practices of cultural emergence, which are and I see these as the foundations of a good culture. And imagine if everybody actually saw these practices as how we work, how we are, how we should be. The ones that came out here, this one is called Growing Ropes. Each time you connect with a person or more than human being, you add a strand of connection that thickens and strengthens in the same way a rope is made of many strands. Grow ropes to your vision by repeatedly bringing it out into awareness and voicing it out loud, which is something that we can do whenever we're together with people who are living with curiosity about cultural emergence. We can grow the ropes that then support us so that we're really full. And when we do things, it works, or we have the tools. And one of them is self-care. Find ways to support yourself on physical and emotional levels. Prioritize meeting your own needs and join with others to do self-care activities and embrace the beauty of imperfection. I love that as a coach, I am constantly working with people who work really hard. They're really trying to make a difference in the world, and yet this one, self-care, is the thing that I think holds us back from being as effective as we could be, because we don't see ourselves as worth or as important, and so having these underpinning the way we live and almost giving ourselves permission to bring these into our everyday culture is a really important part of growing in effectiveness, which was the final card. Like being clear on the effect that you want to have, utilizing your time, energy, and resources well, and our capacity increases as we become more and more effective. So I'm hoping that's what my vision and my intention will be for this year's Peace Online program, is to become more effective at being human and being fully alive with all of the attributes of your connection. And that's what we've designed so that you can experience that too.
Thank you, Leona. Emma, I was wondering if you'd like to share something about your cultural emergence journey, and you've done the piece both online and in person at different times. Emma is the person that works closely with me. She's kind of my PA. I say kind of because we work collaboratively at times and as well. And so she's also the one that's in, we collaboratively reply to emails as well. So yeah, Emma, if you'd like to share your part of your story.
Yes, yeah. Well, when I first started working with Looby back in 2018, I think, at Applewood Permaculture Centre, and she encouraged me to join up for the women's ACE course, the Activating Cultural Emergence course. And I joined that and I was like, oh, I'm not sure I want to do a course. And he was like, no, come on, you're going to enjoy it. And you're working with me on this. You need to go and do it. So I was like, okay. And I went along and I was like, this is brilliant. I love this. This is amazing. This is all the strands I've been thinking about pulled in together, using a language and a framework that made sense to me in that activating and moving and invigorating stage of it, and the challenging and waking stage with the ACE course. And then later, when it came to 2021, when they did that online peace course just coming out of the pandemic, he was like, well, come on, join in. It's online, it's easy. You can fit it in around work and family and things like that. So I joined the online peace course, and it just changed everything for me. I'd already had the cultural side of it kind of really awakened in with me with the ACE course and some nature connection, but then working through that nourish and empower phase of the cultural emergence toolkit and really exploring what it is like to practice deep nature connection, what it is like to be connected to other people, and how you can empower other ones. We're just talking about wise wording and supporting people to step into their own gifts. And by exploring that, it helped me embrace some of my gifts and helped me move into other ways of being and really connecting with nature and being in nature connection. And it was fantastic being on an online course because there were people from all over the world. And after being so closed in and insular for a year, being able to open that up and talk to people from everywhere, and hear their different stories and how they were relating to nature connection was just such a fantastic opportunity, and really helped me embed it in my everyday life. I'm much better at things in little bite-sized chunks. I need a little bit of a time, and you can then build up the different layers of connection, and really embracing my sit spot and getting out in nature and kind of learning meditation skills and just properly relaxing myself into that and finding that peaceful space, which I hadn't found before. And then after that, I entered into the design adventures course, which was formerly called the seed course. And then I discovered all about design as well. And it was like, oh my word. It was like, you're right. And I'm like, this is amazing. I've just been woken up to what cultural emergence really means and what that means to me and how that connects to me and the rest of the world. So it was a fantastic opportunity. And doing it in person is a whole other experience as well. If you do one, they're both different and you go into it in different ways. And with the recordings of Looby and John talking, and I know Looby and Leona, I've experienced them teaching together, and it's just those conversations are fantastic. And they set off one place and they end up somewhere else, and they know what they're doing, but there's just all the other bits that come in between, those juicy rich moments, or there's a turkey walking past me right now, or the kite has just come down, and that nature really comes into those stories. So yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. And yeah, you've just sort of highlighted as well the non-linear learning, how, one course then sets a foundation for another course, and many people say, which one shall I start with? And it's like, well, you can start with any of them. We've got the ACE online, which is enroll anytime, and then the piece and the design adventures are ones where we start all together and go on a journey together, which is starting mid-October for this cohort. And yeah, really excited to join this course. Has there anyone got any questions or reflections that they'd like to ask us or share? You can either put your hand up or you could write something in the chat. We'll give you a moment to do that. Yeah, any reflections? I mean, for me, what's really kind of come to me from yesterday and today's call, which I knew, and now I know it even more, shall we say, is how emergent this adventure will be. So we, John and me and Leona, we have a plan, and I'm already seeing how much richer the whole experience will be, because we will have those sparks of inspiration and that bouncing it off, and just these like subtle understandings that will come from the group or from each other that weren't there before, that will just deepen and deepen our levels of understanding of what peace means, what empowerment means, and not just our understanding of it, but our felt sense of it, and how we will really grow through this. And I know that, like, here in the UK and Northern Hemisphere, we're going into winter, and it's like, why do we want to do a course on nature connection in winter? It's like, that feels sort of strange, but actually, I sort of look back and I think, oh yeah, there was a a reason behind why we've designed it here, is because it doesn't come natural at this time, because it's more natural for us to, or not natural, but more the normal for us to stay indoors and not do our nature connection. Whereas in the summer, it's like it's happening. We're outdoors and we don't need to like put so much intention and effort into it and be motivated. But actually here doing that, and I'm like, oh yeah, actually it's quite good design for myself to put this in this time, because I'm also home alone, so in these 2 months, so this extra people connection will really nourish and empower me, this time with the group, and time actually embedding these connection practices into my own life, so that I do get outside, so that I do reflect and connect with other people, is really important. And I know many people will be joining us where, from the Southern Hemisphere, hopefully, where they'll be in a different different phase moving into the spring and summer. So then you'll have a chance to kind of really grow in your nature connection as the season grows as well. So, it is a lifelong journey that we're on here with connection, and it will be great to, whatever time of year you're doing this, it will hopefully just sow the seeds that will continue as a perennial plant, or maybe a big oak tree in your life of nature connection. Were there any questions?
There's one from Anika here that says, is the Peace Course only starting in the autumn? Do I need to buy the card set for Cultural Emergence and Eight Shields? I do have the book Cultural Emergence. For me, I really want to go, but I have limited economic resources at this time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. That's a great question. So we will be doing it as the live course this autumn. And next year we might release it as kind of standalone, do it your own pace course, but I'm not entirely sure about that, or when that might be. You don't need to buy the card set. The Eight Shields cards are within the seed deck, so there it's all contained within one. You don't need to buy it. You might like to have it, but you don't need to. And also, thank you for this prompt. We have got some bursary places that are available, and we also have some discounts as well. So we really wanted to make this accessible and recognise that people have different economic capacities. So we so they're on the web page, which I'll put in the chat again. You can see there's discount codes you can use, and there's also the bursary places that you can apply for, and we'll be picking those as kind of random number generators. And another question here from Christy. One of the weeks I need to swap to the other time slot group, but is that okay to do? And yes, that is okay. A few people have said that I can make some Wednesdays and some Thursdays, and that's fine. That will be nice to see you whenever you can make it. And if you can't make the calls, the recordings will be available as well. Yeah.
Just so for those who might want to use it, the link for the bursary is in the chat there, so you can just copy that.
Yeah, and it's also if you want to if you want to see the whole information about the call and the call times and everything, it's all on that page.
And yeah, Marta's saying, yeah, she prefers evenings, but sometimes she falls asleep. I understand. Would that be okay to join during the day in those cases? Yeah, absolutely. It's so you can choose either the morning or the Wednesday evening or the morning. It depends where you are, whether it's morning or evening. Yeah. But yeah, you could choose either the Wednesday or the Thursday, and they will be recorded, as Looby said.
Yeah, and they will be different. We'll kind of, we'll start off with the same plan, but as you might have realised, Leona and I and John, we all enjoy storytelling. We're all in an emergent flow, so different things will kind of spark within us, even if we start with the intention of the same things. But that's the joy of being able to go back to the recordings. So yeah. Lovely. Yeah, I'd love to hear in the chat something you're taking away from this call today. What's what kind of inspiration have you gained something from that? And then we'll hear those, and maybe Leona, we'd like to share our last thoughts as well. How about you, Leona?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we're living in very interesting times. We can say what we like about them, but we've got so much available to us now in terms of opportunity, in terms of learning from different cultures, in terms of learning with people from all around the world, and everything that we you know if we're here, it's because we are some of the privileged ones that are able to do this work of going into ourselves and how we can heal and how we can grow so that we can spread that into the world. And I really feel that it's a great privilege to be able to share this work, for me to be able to do this, and for this constant learning that's available to me and to us, that we can actually keep taking from the best of ancient practices, along with new insights gained from research about what we understand of the brain now and how things work, and often they're not different. What we're learning now from modern technology and research and understanding is what people have been doing through ceremony and through ancient connection practices from the beginning of time. So I'm really happy that you're all here and that we're getting to do this journey together. Grateful to Looby and to John for their the deep work and all that that brought them to the point where they were able to bring together these models that help make some of the things that we all know be achievable, actionable, relatable to, and understandable in a really good way. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Leona. I'd just like to share a few things from the chat that people have shared. So the takeaways from Emma: to really embrace a winter deep nature connection practice this year. Yes, that's my intention too. From Christy: wanting to look at work with the 8 shields more. From Nika: feel very inspired and want to go on the course. From Bernadette: I arrived here randomly from Facebook this morning and it's been very interesting. Thank you. I'll look at the course details. I'd like to share that sort of the randomness, but also the synchronicity of that, and how sometimes we do just follow this little thread and we're not sure where it will take us, but that's the joy of life, isn't it? And that sometimes something just appears to us and it's like, oh, that's interesting, that's a spark to follow. And that's how many people stumble across my work or permaculture or nature connection, is because somewhere in them they're looking for something, and then somehow there's an energetic pull that's just like, oh yes, I'll follow that. I don't know where it will go, but I'll follow it. And so life is full of these synchronicities if we're open and listening. So if you're one of those people that have just followed the thread here, it might be through social media, it might be through a newsletter, or it might be through telling someone. Welcome to be here and to be on the course and to be inspired more. And please do share with your friends, because you might be also the person that lays the breadcrumbs for other people to follow. So if you're someone that's had been in cultural emergence for a while or just discovered it, who else do you know around you that is that might also really value and appreciate being here? And you don't know, you might be one of those people that releases something into the world that allows other people to follow and to enjoy it. So yeah, we're wanting to expand the peace course and encourage more and more people, because we know that these tools really work. Two, they work even more when we're in this collective field, and the more people we have and the more people we have around the globe that are involved in this, the more ripples of peace and connection and empowerment are happening more and more, and we know that that is so desperately needed on the planet at the moment. So we're wanting to just really amplify the voice of peace in the world at this time. So please do join us, and thank you everyone for being here, and for if you're here live with us or listening to the recording, we really appreciate you giving your time to this. Do you have a song maybe to send us out with, Leona?
I was going to share the poem that I
Yeah,
enjoy.
let's hear a poem on the way out.
So this is When I Am Among the Trees by Mary Oliver. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I'm so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. "It's simple," they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. So on that note, go well, beautiful humans, and may we meet again.
Bye-bye, everyone.